I want to turn to performance, because you've talked about that bonus. You won't give us information on what bonuses are linked to. You've said that's private, and so we won't understand the metrics for awarding bonuses at the company. But when I look at what your motto is, part of it is, together we strive to ensure more Canadians have access to what they deserve, a home they can afford that meets their needs. When I look at housing starts across the country, the housing start performances are not good. Vancouver, $115 million in housing accelerator funding. Year-to-date starts year over year from October of 2024 to 2023, down 15%. Toronto, $471 million. Their housing starts 2024 versus 2023, down 40%. Ottawa, $176 million. Housing starts 2024 versus 2023, down 22%. So when you're paying out almost $30 million in bonuses, and you won't tell us what the metrics are for those bonuses, is it pretty safe to conclude that the metrics have nothing to do with actually getting houses built?
I don't think that's safe to conclude. I think, as I say, they're not bonuses. They are incentive pay. We design our salaries competitively to attract the best and the brightest.
But shouldn't it be linked to performance? Like, you're a housing organization. Shouldn't the bonuses reflect that more houses are getting built, or that the process is easier or faster or more streamlined? That's how it works in the real world. Like a real estate agent, they get commissions based on the number of houses they sell. That's how it works. And we are right now experiencing the worst housing affordability in the history of our country. You're a housing agency, and you're paying out $30 million worth of bonuses, and you won't tell us why. It clearly cannot be about getting houses built.
There are many factors as to whether houses get built or not, and they start with things that are largely outside of, many of which are outside of CMHC's control. Inflation, the cost of building a house has increased, the interest rates increased. These are primary reasons for the lack of building and the decline in housing starts. So our incentive pay, when people are identifying with their managers the way that they can contribute, it's very related to what an employee can do to influence the outcomes. And
what outcomes?
Well, it's going to very much depend on the employee. Some of them are involved in the delivery of programs, and they will have targets as to how, the targets of units that are done in the programs in which they work, things like that. But it depends very much on the employee.
Okay,
someone in an overhead function would not have the same.
With your motto, we strive to ensure more Canadians have access to what they deserve. This is right on your website, a home that they can afford that meets their needs. With a housing crisis we have in Canada, you think it's fair to pay out $30 million worth of bonuses to employees?
We're not paying bonuses, sir. We're paying incentive pay, and it's an agreement. We set a total compensation level for someone. We give part of it to them at the beginning, and we reserve part of it to say, if you meet your objectives, you get the rest of it.
Well, in the real world, that's called a bonus. You can call it whatever you want, but it's a bonus, and it's usually tied to performance. And you won't tell us what the performance metric is. So I'm putting the question to you. It really can't be about actually getting houses built, and it can't be about the process. We heard from Victoria Park Community Homes, a not-for-profit, that it took 6 years of working with your agency to finally get their project approved, and we might get shovels in the ground this year. So is that part of the performance review, the people that were involved in that project that took it 6 years to get approval? That's they deserve a bonus for working on that project?
I'm not familiar with that project or what would have contributed to the delay. But I can say that every individual has an agreement in terms of the way they can contribute to the corporation's overall objective, and it will depend on. They're very specific to the individual.
The overall objective seems to be based on your website that together we strive to ensure more Canadians have access to what they deserve, a home they can afford that meets their needs, and we see that there's a housing crisis. So why so many bonuses paid out to 98% of employees in the middle of a housing crisis with a motto that says we should build homes?
Mr.